welcome to holiday.
Hi Anosh, how are you?
Very good, thank you. How are you?
Yep, I'm good too. So I'm so glad to with you here on the Zoom meet. Because we had a lot of inquiries related to permanent residence visas from many of our viewers. So I have a set of questions to ask you. So before that, I just want to introduce you to my viewers. So friends, this is Anosh Joseph. So he's one of the best licensed immigration advisor based in Christchurch, New Zealand. He's also from Kerala and mainly focuses on resident visas, visit visas, and of course the work visas for the nurses who would like to come over to New Zealand for their occupational registration. And also, shall we start?
Absolutely. Before I start, I just want to let the viewers know that myself, Anosh Joseph, I'm a licensed immigration advisor. I'm from Christchurch, New Zealand. I'm also a Keralite. I can speak really good Malayalam, Tamil, and English. I do understand Hindi, but I'm not a really good speaker in Hindi. But that's okay. Most of the Kerala people would like to talk in Malayalam because that's what they are more comfortable on. So we can do this video even in Malayalam or English. It's up to you. Which language would you prefer?
Yeah, we can go for Malayalam or English, but
Okay,
we have viewers who doesn't understand Malayalam as well.
okay, that's
So
fine. Then
yeah,
we'll stick to the English. That's fine.
all right, that's fine. So shall we go for the questions?
Go ahead. I'm happy to answer the questions. So this video is more focused on answering the questions related to straight to residence visa for registered nurse. And also, when you look at this sort of applications, most of the nurses prefer to apply together as a family. And I'll be answering a couple of questions related to partnership-based applications, not just straight to residence visa, but that's something which I'll be covering in this video as well.
Okay, so your first question, how much time it'll take for processing? I mean, how can you fast track the application
Fine.
from your side as a licensed immigration advisor?
Okay. So
Yep.
the reality is straight to residence visas are already a fast track residence category application, which Immigration New Zealand's put on priority. So most of the applications do process really fast. For example, one of the quickest application which I had was around 72 hours to get it approved. So it is that quick. So when I applied for that particular person, the residence visa got approved in principle in 72 hours, and the entire approval came in 2 weeks. So that's really fast. So from my point of view, the main thing is I go through entire documents of a nurse. For example, their job description, their employment contract, their qualifications, their language proficiency test results. So basically, I check and verify all those documents before I submit, which means the officer doesn't have to come back to you and say, can I get another document, or can I have these documents to process the visa further? So if you have all those documents in the first place, this makes the process even quicker. So my job is to make sure the entire documentation are collected as per the standards of Immigration New Zealand, and also to make sure there is no problems in those documents. For example, a couple of weeks ago, I was processing an application for a registered nurse who works in one of the hospitals in New Zealand. So what happened is the job description had some issues. I'm not going to disclose the name, but the particular job description had two different names of the employer, which did potentially cause a delay on the process. So that sort of things can be avoided when we verify those files. Sometimes the employer has two different names. For example, the trading name will be different, the registered name will be different. So the officers do ask some sort of questions again regarding the contracts, the job description, and all those things. And again, if you are applying as a family, it is not just you which they are going to verify. They have to verify the details of the partner, the kids. For example, if you are a second marriage person, the custody of the child is very important. A lot of nurses do apply by themselves without knowing those details when they don't really have the custody of the child, which can potentially lead to a delay, or also if they don't have the custody, then it's really hard to process the application further.
All right. And required scores for a primary applicant and dependents, it's a really matter of concern. So many of the viewers have questions related to that, like what is the criteria for that?
Criteria for is it English language?
Yep, English language, like
Okay.
IELTS or ET, and
Right.
yeah.
So there is two criteria. One is for the principal applicant, which is the nurse itself, and the other is for the secondary applicants. So anyone who is above 16 years old has to produce an English language test result to process their residence visa, unless they have some other category, which we can say they're exempt from producing that sort of documents. But I'm not going into those details, which is again takes a lot of time to explain. But the basic thing is the principal applicant requires to have IELTS overall 6.5 or OETB for all bands. It can be in clubbing, that's fine. And there are other tests which are acceptable, PTE, TOEFL, which I'm happy to provide those details in this video, which will be popping up soon. And for secondary applicants, they only require overall 5 in general or academic for IELTS. And if it's an OET test, which they have attempted, is C for all bands.
All right. And of course, we need a set of documents for going with the processing, right? So, can you please explain in brief about the required documents?
That's okay. I can go through some sort of documents which you require, but it is always case to case. It depends on the client's situation.
Mhm.
So you can't really provide a checklist for each client. It is not a checklist which you can use for every single client. It is tailored for the client itself. So when a client joins my firm for to process their residence visa, what I go through is I understand their profile. I go through their details and come up with a tailored checklist. So the checklist is going to match the situation of that particular client. Right. So in this case, for example, if they have worked in Oman for 12 months or more, they need to produce a police certificate from Oman. So that sort of things may differ for each client. Also, the medical tests, and also for English language, I have said before, for secondary applicant, if they don't want to sit for IELTS, they can always purchase ISOL. So ISOL is a language training which you can purchase through Immigration New Zealand, and it is provided by the institutions in New Zealand. But that's also possible. You can purchase ISOL and process the application further. And the cost to purchase ISOL may differ. For example, if you have attained overall 4.5, the cost is less. If you haven't ever entered any test, then the cost will be a bit more bigger. So that's the main difference. For example, to process a residence visa, the nurse requires a couple of documents to prove that they have a acceptable standard of health. So they need to have a valid medical results. They need to produce police certificates from the countries which they have lived for more than 12 months. They need to have and documents to prove that they are suitably qualified for the role which they are applying. For example, if they are a registered nurse, APC, annual practicing certificate, is a must document. You need to produce those details, and also job description, and also the employment contract, which again proves that this person is suitably qualified for this particular role. And again, for a secondary applicant, for a partner of this particular nurse, we need to produce enough documents to prove that you've been living together for at least 12 months or more. And for kids, the basic documents, but depending on the age, again, if the kid is more than 17 years or 18 years or 19 years, I need to go through the details and come up with the documents which we require for that particular child. That's not a child, sorry. So there's some, any secondary applicants above 16 years old, I need to look into the details and come up with the checklist.
All right. And about the processing fee?
Right. So the Immigration New Zealand charges $4,290 flat fee for to process residence visa application. Even though they're adding their family or kids, it doesn't matter. The cost is exactly the same. But my fees do differ case to case. For example, I can't really say this is my fees. It depends on the case. The process which I follow is I need to understand the case and see what all things do I need to do I need to do for that particular application. So we charge for the hours being spent on that particular application. So if that application has a lot of things which need to be sorted, for example, custody of the child, for example, things such as character issues, health issues, then the cost will be a bit more higher. right? It depends on the hours which I work on that particular application. So all I can say is get in touch with me. I'm happy to provide you with a code straight away in 24 hours. All it takes is 24 hours to get back to you.
All right. And can you please explain the challenges which we face on proving relationship for residence applications? Because most of the people have this problem. Maybe it'll be getting declined, or they may face some other issues or challenges while they are moving on with the residency application.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is a very normal problem. It became normal now because most of the Indian applications do have this issue. They're not really able to prove that they've been living together for more than 12 months. So what happens is in India, the electric bills, the other utility bills, everything comes in one name. You can't really add one more person's name on it. Sometimes you can, but most of the cases it will be on the name of the husband or the owner of the house. So it is really hard to prove that you've been living together in that particular property for more than 12 months. So that sort of problems do come across on a daily basis. But again, we need to look into the details and understand what all documents can we provide to prove that they've been living together for more than 12 months. In some cases, the husband will be working in Middle East or some other country, and he will be coming to India every 12 months for 1 or 2 months of holiday. So the problem with those visits and living together is Immigration New Zealand doesn't always consider that duration as living together duration. Sometimes they will say, "Oh, you've been holidaying in India with your wife. That's not a living together." So they can always say, I have a conversation with one of the immigration officers a couple of weeks ago when I was processing an application, and this particular client been in and out of the country every 6 months because he is actually working for a ship.
Mhm.
So he's a marine engineer. So what happened is the person comes back every 6 months, stays for 2 months. And the officer's argument was he every single time when he comes to India is either for Christmas or for Diwali. So that's holiday. They're not living together. So again, it took a couple of days to prepare the documents and go back to the officer and prove that now they're not been living. I mean, they're not holidaying in India. He is coming back to his home, spending time at his property with his wife and kids. And this is not holidaying, but we need to provide evidence for that. For example, some nurses provide evidence such as they travel to Thailand, they travel to Malaysia, or they travel to Goa or wherever they are from Kerala during the visit of her husband. Again, that makes it as a holiday. See, that's the problem. We need to make sure the
What's
documentations are right.
okay?
So
So
that's my, yeah, go ahead.
in that cases, what are the alternatives which we can do in order to prevent the
Yeah.
declining of?
So if the officer is unable to verify the living together of a client, it doesn't mean the application is going to be declined. The
Mhm.
officer may say, okay, I can consider a deferral for this particular client. Again, that's up to the officer to decide. Or the officer can say, can you please remove the secondary applicant or the partner from the application so I can process the rest of the application further. But again, that's something which we need to look into the details of the relationship and provide advice on what documents can you provide. Sometimes, I'm helpless. There is no documents to advocate for the client. In that case,
Mhm.
we have to remove the partner and process the rest. But the intention is to put forward a good case to Immigration New Zealand. And also to do that, a lot of documentation is required. A lot of planning is required in terms of presenting those documents to Immigration New Zealand. I always recommend family applications. Make sure you contact us immediately if you want to process, because 90% of the clients who process by themselves usually call me again when they come across a problem, and also they are removing their partner for no reason. Some cases which I think came in a couple of months ago, they were going to remove the partner, and they came to me with those documents, and when I look at it, it was I can easily see that this is something which I can process. So I took over the case and got them the entire residence visa. But Now I don't take over any cases now because I want to start fresh. The problem with taking over cases from is if the application get declined, the fault becomes on top of my head because I
Mhm.
don't even, I haven't even represented the application in the first place. Then I'm taking over, which means I'm representing the application right now. So if something goes wrong, it is going to come back to me. So I don't take over any applications now. But if you want to process in the first place, make sure you contact me. It is easy to contact me. You can always just Google Derek Jones Immigration Consultant Limited, Christchurch, New Zealand. And also in this video, you can see my number behind my shoulder. There is two numbers. The Indian number is sometimes I do attend those calls as well. But sometimes if it is attended by my assistant, make sure you provide your details so I can call you back. So I usually call back the clients as soon as I can, mostly in 24 hours. Also, every single client who joins me will be scheduled a meeting, like a Zoom meeting, just like this, and also going through the details of that particular application. Then only I'll take over or start working on that particular case, because I want to meet the client. I want to make sure I am talking to the client directly. I don't use any mediators to process any visas. I want to talk to the client directly at all times. Um, that's it. And any other questions?
Yeah, that's it. That's about the questions. So these were the
Ah,
queries which were by many
okay,
of our viewers.
very good. I'll go through one more thing, just in case, as this is also part of the process. Some of
Mhm.
the nurses probably won't achieve OETB for all bands because nursing homes in New Zealand only requires C plus for writing. So what can they do on that cases? So the best thing to do is, this is something which I tell to every single nurse, but most of them doesn't listen. They always try to rewrite OET test. The problem with OET test is it is an academic test, right? It is designed for academic purpose, right?
Mhm.
So the best and easiest thing to do is go and write IELTS general, because it's a general test. It is not for
Yep.
academic purpose. For a nurse who just miss, a point 0.5 on, a C plus score on a writing, I'm pretty sure that he or she will pass the IELTS general without even studying. It's that simple. And again, if you don't want to do it, that's fine. A lot of nurses doesn't prefer to go for residence straight away because of the cost involved. The entire application is going to cost, because the Immigration New Zealand fee itself is $4,290. Then again, my fees is coming on the top. Some nurses who are financially struggling may wait for 6 months so they can save some money to process those visas. But that's fine. If you are in that particular position, what you can do is bring your partner on a work visa. Right. If you are a registered nurse, because you're working under the green list Taiwan occupation, you can bring your partner on an open work permit, which allows your partner to work under any employer under any wages, and that's good. And I do process those application. Again, that application also requires a lot of documents. Always get in touch with me so I can assist you further and process the application. All right. Thank you so much for every single viewer who is actually watching this video. If you require immigration advice, please get in touch with Derek Jones Immigration Consultant Limited, based in Christchurch, New Zealand. I do process application all around the world, so it doesn't matter where you are. We have Zoom meetings which you can attend from wherever you are, and it is okay. And you don't really need to get stressed, and we are here to support you and make New Zealand home. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anosh. It was such an informative video. So it will be definitely helpful for the viewers. Thank you so
Thank you so
much.
much. No problem. Thanks for your time. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye bye.